let me tell you a little story. Once upon a time, there were these two young guys. They came out of nowhere and they said that they were going to take the British wrestling scene by storm. They said that they were going to be the future, not just of British wrestling, but of wrestling as a whole. Now those guys came out of nowhere and they dominated the scene. They main evented every show up and down the country for months on end, having some of the best matches ever seen over here on British soil. These two guys were unstoppable. They were the British Tag Team Champions. Their time came to an end and they went their separate ways. One guy carried on wrestling throughout Britain. He carried on having technical masterclasses with some of the top names to come from England. The other guy, on the other hand, wrestled extensively throughout Europe. He went to Japan, he was on TV and pay-per-view. He came back from Japan and he went to America where he was on TV and pay-per-view once again. He came back and main evented all the shows in England once again. Now, IPW matchmakers decided to get these two guys who had gone their separate ways back together to promote them once again as an unstoppable team. Now, IPW matchmakers, for whatever reason, seem to have this idea that by putting them back together once again they'd be unstoppable. But what they failed to remember was the fact that Haskins had gone on to bigger and better things. He was fighting off guys who had come from abroad. He was fighting off some of the top talent in the world and he was beating them. To the point where I am undefeated in Sitting Bull in singles competition and have been since November 2009. Joel, on the other hand, called on my help to accomplish the one goal that he'd seemingly set out for himself when we went our separate ways, and that was beating up our fat manager, which we got rid of years ago. Now, people keep asking why it was that I turned my back on Joel Redman, and it's simple. By myself, I'm unstoppable. With him, we can't even win a single match. I mean, come on, Joel. If you want to carry on and just be a fan of being mediocre, then go ahead. But don't drag me down with you. You see, at this stage of the game, mediocrity can no longer be allowed to fly. So, Redman, if IPW matchmakers wouldn't listen to me when I said I didn't want to team with you, then how? They sure listened to me after I kicked you in the nuts, kicked you in the face, and then spat on you. And on April 28th, you will realise that as good as you are not the calibre of athlete such as myself. I am the star attraction, Mark Haskins.